After watching the State Union address, if Democrats get a power again, this country is done.
This is an NHS free prescription certificate.
United Healthcare has denied my pre-authorization for my radical hysterectomy and treatment for my very severe endometriosis.
Let me say something that might make a lot of people stop scrolling right now. Imagine working your whole life, paying taxes, paying insurance, paying hospital bills, only to find out that in other parts of the world, people walk into a hospital, get treated, and walk out without paying a dime. No panic, no debt, no stress. Now, imagine being told that for years and not believing it until one day you finally see it for yourself. Right now, some supporters of Donald Trump are reacting strongly after learning how healthcare works in countries like Germany and United Kingdom, and suddenly people are asking questions they never asked before. But before I break this down, I want you to watch some of these clips these people were reacting on, listen to the reaction, watch the expression, and pay attention to what surprised them the most, because once you say it, the conversation is going to hit very different. Okay guys, let's watch it.
I don't think people realize the reason Europe has free healthcare, free college, all these other great benefits is because of America. Because of the United States allows you, well, not really allows, but lets you have the ability to have free healthcare and to have free education. It's all because of America. If America wasn't subsidizing you, sending all this money, completely funding your military, pretty much being your military, Europe just wouldn't have free healthcare. They wouldn't have a military. Europe would pretty much have nothing. So if America took back all their money, pretty much got out of NATO, whatever, Europe's free healthcare, free education, military, it would all collapse, but we'd have a lot more money for America. America would have free education, would have free healthcare. So maybe we need a switch up.
After watching the State Union address, if Democrats get a power again, this country is done. They won't stand up for anything people of this country believe and cherish. Have a good night.
It is no business of mine whether or not your family has, what was it again? Food. Ha! You should have thought about that before you became peasants! With food stamps potentially not going out in November, one of my concerns is how regular Americans are perceiving this. We know that it's a lot of people in Trump's own base who are going to be affected the hardest by the lack of food stamps. People in rural working class communities. And I just wonder, is it being communicated that the reason that they are not getting food assistance is because of the Trump administration? It's literally a choice. Trump has bent over backwards to provide funds to other groups, to the military, to give tax breaks to the wealthiest people in this country, and is choosing not to use emergency funding that a judge now has ordered the administration to use to supplement SNAP. His excuse, he doesn't think that it's legal. A man who has literally shown so much blatant disregard of the law is now concerned over whether or not it's legal to use American taxpayer funds to cover food stamps during the government shutdown. And you have to follow the entire train of thought right now to really understand how corrupt and wicked the Republican Party is, because why is the government shutdown even happening, right? The MAGA Republicans want to increase healthcare costs for everyday Americans. They want to get rid of subsidies that are provided by the Affordable Care Act. And the Democrats are refusing to reopen the government to protect those subsidies to keep prices lower for Americans. So at the same time...
So I went to the doctor for the first time, and here's what free healthcare actually looks like. I'm not gonna go into detail on why I went. So I don't have an NHS card or an insurance card or anything like that. I'm so new, I don't know a damn thing. Anyways, when I walked straight into the hospital, they just kind of asked about my name, my address, and then the waiting began. You know when the nurses call you in to check your blood temperature? I waited in the waiting room for around 5 minutes and literally they called me in straight away. The first part was the easy part. Now comes the waiting. I waited for around 2 hours and then I finally got to see the doctor. Kind of just told her my symptoms and she was like, oh, you have this. We can prescribe you this. And I was like, bet. Literally, she wrote down my prescription and sent me home. And I had to just pick up my prescription the next day at the hospital. I was like, okay, I don't have to pull out my credit card. There's no bill. I can go home. So the next day I went to go get my prescription and I low-key thought that would be free too. It was a charge of $9.99 for 2 types of medicine that I needed to pick up. And that is all I had to pay. I mean, it was that simple. But I think because I knew it was gonna be that long, I kind of just sucked it up and I just did whatever. Before graduating college, I was just so used to going to the health services on campus. But now it's when you're sick, you really have to go to a doctor. It's just interesting the difference between obviously the US and the UK. People being so scared to go to the ER, because I did go to the ER, because they think they're gonna rack up some crazy bill. It wasn't the worst experience in the world. For the people who are wondering what free healthcare in the UK feels like, that was my experience.
So there's a conversation happening about donating food to people regardless of how they voted. I think it's different when you have a different racial perspective. So for example, I, as a Black woman, I am not openly feeding MAGA people. I'm just not. I can't. They use racial slurs. They voted the way that they voted with the intent of cruelty and racism. And I personally am not going to open my door and start feeding people. Now, what I am doing is making a series called Poor But Not Starving. And that series is for anybody who does not know how to feed themselves while they are poor in order to keep themselves from starving. That's what it is. We can be poor, but we're not starving to death. And I don't have a problem with anybody using these recipes. They're not even mine from the jump. These are recipes that I've gotten. They're just really inexpensive. But if you want to be that person who goes out and feeds anybody, by all means. I'm not saying that they don't deserve to eat. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying I personally am not going to be opening my door in my pantry to feed any and everybody who is voting for me to be re-enslaved. When it comes to a racial perspective, that also has to be considered, because a lot of people who are critiquing the people who are saying that they are going to feed any and everybody who needs food, I don't think that they're Black. I think a lot of those people are white. And that's just the fact of the matter. Black people are keeping their heads down, minding their business, doing what we need to do. And, it is what it is. We know how to survive. I'm teaching you some things on how to survive, because that's just something that I can do without spending a lot of money. These are groceries that I'm going to be buying anyway, or have already bought. But yeah, just a little food for thought. Did I give you any food for thought? Did I? I don't think I did. I think I just rambled. That's fine too. Whatever.
Hey MAGA, when you lose your health care and get sick, just know it is the result of your Trump derangement syndrome.
It's a really funny experience to be an American and be used to our healthcare system here, or be brainwashed that socialized medicine doesn't work at all, and then go to another country and interact with their healthcare system. Because my first experience was when I went to Hong Kong and I was having chronic strep at this point in time. I get sick. I walk into the nearest equivalent of urgent care. No appointment. No insurance. Wait an hour, have my appointment. And afterwards, the doctors were telling me, this is gonna be pretty expensive because you don't have insurance. And I was like, lay it on me. I'm ready. I knew this was gonna happen. The bill, medicine included, $150 US. And because I had chronic strep, I went there more than once. The first time I explained that I had chronic strep, and they told me, oh, just the next time you're having the start of symptoms, come in early so we can give you antibiotics early and you don't have to go through the whole shebang of getting sick. And every time I walked in there after that, they were immediately like, oh, we know you. Yeah, we'll give you your antibiotics and you can go on your way. I was so confused.
Hello, nerds. Nerds for Humanity. This freaking guy is claiming that the Democrats have voted to shut down the government to provide health care to illegal immigrants. That is patently false.
I just got my hospital bill. I was in there for 3 days for a leg surgery, and I'm going to read you the itemized charge list. First, semi-private room and bed changes, $12,487. Changes for drugs and IV solutions, $2,222. Medical surgical supplies, $2,918. Clinical laboratory changes, $5,314. Operating room charges.
The average MAGA American is so brainwashed, they think free healthcare and affordable housing are tyranny unless it's given to them.
Have you guys seen the video of that self-proclaimed MAGA dentist who is admitting in a public forum? She was at a Republican conference. She's admitting that she actually withholds laughing gas from patients who oppose her Republican values and views. Democratic patients. Mind you, her patients are children.
It says, make your smile great again. So I wear that when I work on my patients. So when they look horrified or complain, I quietly cut back on the laughing gas.
She's a pediatric dentist.
We are never going to be allowed to have anything nice in this country, because tell me why I just saw a post that said something like, if you had to pay an extra 7% in taxes for free health care or for otherwise free health care, would you agree to do it? And why were so many of the comments saying, no, because it would be government run and it would be a waste of money? It's a waste of money now. It's a waste of money now because 20 to 30% of the money that you pay in your inflated healthcare costs goes into someone's pockets and dividends for shareholders. Do you think it will somehow be less efficient with the might of the U.S. government arguing for good? Yes, the best version of this is for me to be.
Just a reminder to all my fellow Americans, while we are paying for health care, racking up student debt, and can barely afford housing, Israel has free health care, free education, and subsidized housing. So you are paying for them to have what your government is not giving you. How does that feel?
So you're telling me that Israel has free healthcare for all because of our U.S. tax-paying money? So their own citizens, they don't care if we have healthcare, they don't care if we have medical, they don't care about none of that. But they're funding Israel's healthcare system? How selfish is the U.S., how selfish is the freaking government that they have the audacity to not make sure that us, our U.S. citizens, have free healthcare, have access to healthcare, but the people of Israel are getting funded by our money so they can walk into the doctors, into the hospitals, get these major surgeries and not pay a dime. But our veterans and our parents who have been working, who have been living here for years, helping this country, can't get access to free Medicare, free healthcare, free none of that? Like, how the hell does that work? Like, at this point, us as freaking U.S. citizens, we really need to stand up for our freaking rights, and we need to stand up for our freaking tax-paying money, because this is getting out of pocket. I actually cannot believe that they get free healthcare because of our money. Like, who even allowed that? Who even said that was okay? Because I guarantee you, a lot of people don't even notice.
United Healthcare has denied my pre-authorization for my radical hysterectomy and treatment for my very severe endometriosis pretty much 4 hours before my surgery is supposed to start. I'm already here at the hospital. I'm already set up, got my IV going, and my surgery is scheduled for 12:05, and apparently United Healthcare can't meet with my doctor, my surgeon, until noon.
So this here was found outside of a migrant hotel in Derby. This is an NHS free prescription certificate, not just free prescriptions, but if you look closely, it says free prescriptions, free dental health, free eyesights. It has a voucher on which covers them for the full value of new glasses and
How much do you think it is to call an ambulance in America?
Oh gosh, $1,000 maybe? $150 maybe? Just that's being kind though. I know America's a bit of a harsh country.
Yeah.
How much is it?
$1,200.
Just to call an ambulance?
Alright, how much do you reckon it costs to give birth in America?
For new life, I'll probably say around $10,000 or so.
2,500 trying to have a kid in America?
It's 18 grand.
What?
If you want a hip replacement, how much do you reckon that costs in America?
$5 grand.
It's 17,000.
40,000.
40,000? Why is it so high?
People don't realise in England, because we get free healthcare.
We're getting very blessed, to be honest.
I pay for inhalers, they're quite expensive.
Do you? How much is your inhaler?
£11.
In America, that costs $60, $70.
$60?
It took me 8 denials myself to get a medicine that I need to exist. I didn't pull any strings. I did what I was supposed to do. Imagine the average person in the country.
That was Representative Greg Murphy, a Republican from North Carolina. He's also a doctor. Let's break down what happened. Murphy shared that story in front of health insurance CEOs who testified to Congress about health costs.
I have had patients cry in my room. I have had physicians cry to me, throw up their hands in disgust, and quit because of actions of our health insurance industry.
Meanwhile, the Trump administration announced plans to negotiate down the price of 14 expensive medications with drug makers. The list includes drugs for cancer, autoimmune diseases, weight loss, and Botox. Finally, we want to hear from you. Are you struggling to afford your health insurance or find yourself priced out of getting care? Share your story here. We'll keep watching. Follow for more.
This stupid company named Cigna denied this guy a lung transplant. And the CEO is worth like $570 million. And I just determined that these healthcare CEOs actually devour souls. They actually eat people's livelihoods. They eat their souls. So if they don't approve their coverage and they're actually worth more than this person's like what they need to survive, they have now eaten that person's soul and they should be considered Shang Tsung and have to be eliminated at once. That should just be the code. Once your company lets someone die, if it costs more, if your salary is more than what it costs to save them, you eat souls, we perform the fatality upon you.
So guys, now that you have seen those clips, let's talk about what's really going on. Some voters are reacting with shock, not just because healthcare is more accessible in part of Europe, but because they are realizing something deeper, that system can be built differently, that priorities can be set differently, and that outcome can look very different depending on the choices of a particular country making them. So here is the reality a lot of people are starting to face. In the United States, healthcare is often tied to employment, insurance company, out-of-pocket payments, and when something goes wrong, the financial impact can be just as stressful as the medical issues itself. But in many European countries, healthcare systems are structured around public access. That doesn't mean they are private, but it does mean that people don't face the same kind of financial pressure just to receive basic care. So when people who have only known one system suddenly discover another, the reaction can be intense because it challenges everything they thought was normal. Now, here is where this perspective of Black American becomes very important. For many years, Black community in the United Kingdom, access for affordable healthcare has been a long-standing issue. Higher medical costs, limited access in certain areas, economic barrier. So conversations about healthcare are not new. They have been happening for a long time. That's why when people are just now reacting with shock, some Black Americans are looking at this moment and thinking, this conversation has been going on for so long. Because for many, the struggle to access affordable care has always been part of the reality. Now, let's take this a step further. This situation isn't just about healthcare, it's about awareness, what people knows, what people are told, and what people believe is possible. Because if you grow up thinking one system is the only option, you don't question it. But the moment you see an alternative, you start asking questions, and those questions can lead to bigger conversation about priorities. Here is something that should make anyone watching this curious. It's different if different countries can approach healthcare in different ways. What determines which system a country chooses? Is it economic? Is it politics? Is it priorities? And more importantly, what kind of system best supports everyday people? Those are questions worth exploring, because at the end of the day, this moment is not about mocking anyone for being surprised. It's about understanding how perspectives evolve. People learn at different time, people experience things differently, and sometimes it takes a moment like this to open up a completely new ways of thinking. So when you see reaction like this, don't just focus on the shock, focus on what it represents. It represents people realizing that system can change, that different approaches exist, and that conversation about important issues like healthcare are always evolving. And for communities that have been having this conversation for years, this moment can feel like a continuation of something much bigger. Now I want to hear from you. Do you think moments like this will push more people to question how system work, or do you think most people will continue to accept what they are used to? Drop your thoughts in the comment below, and if you enjoy conversation that go deeper than headline, make sure you like this video and subscribe, because on this channel we don't just react, we break things down, and trust me, this conversation is far more from over. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video.